Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is Saunders Sisterhood. This is a YouTube channel for the single and childless, not by choice person. Our video today is my story about being single and childless, not by choice, part two. If you haven't seen part one yet, then you can find that after this video. I will also put it up as a card toward the end of this video. To recap, I previously told about how I kind of landed on being single and childless, not by choice, and kind of talked a little bit about how some of the turning point for me in terms of coming out of that grief, like the deep depths of the grief where you feel really, really stuck where you're at and feel a little hopeless, was finding the childless, not by choice community while also being in therapy, and then listening to a lot of podcasts and reading a lot of books about this topic. I really immersed myself in this community because it's where I felt connected and where I felt seen and understood. As I started to feel some waves of feeling a little bit better around the childlessness, it really emphasized the singleness a bit more for me. And I think part of that occurred because as I was starting to feel a little bit better, I was more motivated to start going out more, right? Meeting new people, trying out different fun activities, thinking about where I could travel, thinking about where I could go visit. And when you're single, and particularly single, and I think in your 40s, probably in your 30s as well. I was grieving a little too hard during that time to really feel that as acutely, but your friends become a little bit less available, right? And a lot of people do these things with partners, and they may go out occasionally with their friends, but when you have kids and you have a partner, you might be meeting up with your friends every few months or once a quarter, right? It's really not all that consistent. And so I really felt the singleness as I was wanting to get out there and do new things and start building this life for myself. You start to feel like a little bit of an outsider, and the grief of the singleness starts to hit. I think the grief of childlessness was much like deeper in depths. Not that it's not very, very difficult to be single. I just think there's more of it, and I think there's more representation around it. I do think some of the representation is really crappy and untrue, but people kind of move in and out of seasons of singleness, and so I didn't quite feel as hopeless. So I've done some dating apps. I hated them. I was like, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. I want to spend my time doing things that I enjoy and being around people that I enjoy. So I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do things. And then whatever happens, happens. And then if I meet somebody, it'll be doing something where we likely have a shared experience. So I started to kind of shift in and kind of have this mindset of I'm going to work on building something versus feeling like I'm focusing a lot on what I don't have. Again, when I talk about, oh, I just decided, I mean, it took years, right? And if you're in that place where that feels impossible now, I understand that. And it takes a lot of repetition, practice, community, immersing yourself around others who are in a similar situation. So then you can start to believe it. And it's like you provide evidence to yourself, right? So, now I am feeling like I'm around people who are trying to live their life, a fulfilling life and a meaningful life. And some of them are single, some of them aren't. Some of them are childless, some of them aren't. Some of them are single and childless. And I particularly cultivate these relationships. And I particularly really value these relationships because I think these are people who kind of understand all aspects of it. And if you're single and childless, not by choice, and struggling to find people like that in your world, I really want you to consider joining Saunders Sisterhood. And by joining, I mean subscribing to this channel and following us on Instagram, where then you'll get some information on the different events that we put out, virtual events, right? article clubs, and it's a book club, but we read articles just for time. Sonder socials. We do some non-therapy support groups. Come make some friends. I know it's not in person, and virtual can be helpful too. We're single and we're childless, and it's an opportunity not only to share the feelings around that, but also do fun things together. So while it's what brings us together, it's not necessarily the focus of every single thing that we do. Again, we have some socials where we just have fun because we want to, and it's nice to have friends that can relate to you. So, this is my story. And if you feel like you want to tell your story, a good place to start is write it down. Write your story down. It can be really cathartic and therapeutic to be able to kind of see where you started, where your middle is, and where you're going, and kind of your ongoing journey, and really give yourself credit for what you've gotten through, what you've been through, and the perseverance and determination that it takes to really dig through the depths of this grief, and that you're doing it. And if you feel like you've been doing it alone, you don't have to. Come join us. So subscribe to Sonder Sisterhood and follow us on Instagram at Sonder Sisterhood.